session is about construction chemicals, the rising opportunity. And in the morning, I was talking about the construction industry, which is around US dollar 1.4 trillion in India. That is what the figure is floating. I do not have any official sources to talk about it, but keeping that into view, let me talk to Mr. Rahul Tikoo, who is an expert in construction chemicals. So, and understand from him how does he see the scope of construction chemical industry in India evolving over the next decade or the next 10 years, and what are the areas of opportunity and how can stakeholders capitalize on it. So over to Mr. Rahul Tikoo.
Okay, so Pravinji, I'll three things actually. So first of all, I wanted to compliment you to begin with for a couple of reasons. One is I think I met very few people who have got a very good ear on the ground and who actually take a feedback. And from that perspective, I'm so glad that you have been able to find a downstream route to petrochemicals. Because essentially, most of the times we've been talking a lot about petrochemicals, not that it's not close to my heart, because I've been in that industry, lived and breathed it for a long time. But essentially, a positive outcome of innovation essentially comes from the downstream opportunities, and therefore this construction chemicals coming on discussion today is amazing. The second disclaimer from my side is that I'm not a construction chemical technocrat, because I know the audience and also the panelists here. So I have to be careful before I make a statement. Therefore, I've done a little bit of cheating. So my technology group has already helped me with some notes. So whenever I look at paper, don't think that I'm copying. I'm just picking up some jargons so that I can sound a little bit smart here on this podium. But as far as construction chemicals industry is concerned, from a strategic point of view, we were just discussing, I think it has got a humongous future. If you look at the way petrochemicals is growing and then correlate that to a future of construction chemicals industry, it is going to be significant growth over next decade. And there are about 3 or 4 parameters which are actually going to drive it predominantly, and that's anybody's guess. One is this massive infrastructure overall that you're seeing in country. I mean, when I was traveling from my office today to this place, it took me 2 hours, but I think that pain we have to endure for some time, because in about a couple of years, everything will be settled down. And yesterday they also launched one more leg of this freeway in South Bombay. So infrastructure wise, it's going to be massive. But I think what it also presents is a massive scope for advanced construction chemicals within the country, right? I mean, as the infrastructure build-up is going, the demand for advanced construction chemical is also going to rise. That we will see happening, and we'll talk about it also going forward. I must admit that, you know, while we are extremely proud for a beautiful Delhi, Bombay airport, for whatever we have done in Atal Setu, and amazing amount of infrastructure that has been put in, I think series of some of the incidents that we have seen in past with couple of roofs falling from certain airports is probably a wake-up call, and one needs to really take a cognizance of what's going wrong there. You know, right, while we are building amazing infrastructure, we have excellent engineering capabilities. I don't think the future of building this further is only about workmanship or beautification, but it is also about using right technology, using right construction chemicals. Awareness of those materials is going to be playing a very big role. Second, when we go to the residential side of the market, which is humongous, because there you see already affordable housing coming in. Therefore, whether it is tile adhesives, whether it is better waterproofing solutions, or it is sealants, I think these materials are going to be a significant value improvement of any structure. I see a very large opportunity here. But I think it is very important also in that segment that we address a crucial issue of consumer awareness. And from my perspective there, I can tell you that the relative understanding of using right waterproofing technologies, for example, amongst builder community or even an applicator community is very poor. To give you a few examples, you know, I was just doing my house a few months back, and then there was this guy, and we were asking, okay, you're going to put a tile on the wall. So what kind of material are you going to use? So by virtue of some knowledge that I have about this industry, he's saying chemical लगा देंगे, कोई बात नहीं, नीचे वाला भी chemical लग जाएगा, wall पे भी chemical लग जाएगा, सब चिपक जाएगा. So then I was like, can you just tell me what kind of chemical it is? It's chemical, don't worry, it's a tile adhesive. So I think if the elementary level of understanding of these people there, and these are essential stakeholders where awareness has to be created, right? For building that ecosystem further. The third and the last point, I think, is that there is going to be a massive focus around sustainability. It is already picked up in West a lot. You see a significant amount of it happening in Southeast Asia. And I also see some flip bips in India, but it is going to accelerate very fast in coming days. Therefore, the need of sustainable materials, sustainable engineering processes is going to have a significant impact on the construction chemicals market at large. So that's my perspective about the scope, Pravin.
Thanks, Rahul ji. Going back to Rajive Shah ji. Sir, how big is the construction chemicals opportunity for chemical companies, both from a local market as well as export market, and areas where you see the opportunities and how it can be leveraged? Mike.
Thank you, Pravin ji, for inviting me on this esteemed panel list. First of all, I think the local market, there is a huge opportunity with the government focusing on infrastructure. I think it's a clear sign that the next decade belongs to infrastructure. And recently we just saw the Saint Gobain taking over Fosroc. So I think infrastructure, there's a huge opportunity. Then there is urbanization happening. And then there is a lot of construction activities in residential, commercial, and industrial projects. So I think the local market there is a huge opportunity in the construction chemical. As well as in the export market, we see Indian companies are very quality conscious and cost effective. So I think countries like Middle East, Africa, Southeast Asia, and parts of Europe would be serviced from India. So I think export also there is a huge opportunity. And the fields where we see there is a lot of growth is concrete admixtures, adhesives and sealants, waterproofing additives, and floor coatings. So these are certain areas where there's a lot of growth potential happening. And the key trends are again sustainability, digitization, and consolidation. I think these are the trends which are seen globally. And I think for the long-term growth, one has to invest in brand building. A lot of companies are doing, if you see like Pidilite, they have Dr. Fixit. So if they invest in, it takes long time, but I think eventually it does pay off the result, in the long-term brand building. And in the short term, one has to focus on regulatory compliances, because I think that's one of the need of the hour if you want to be a long-term player. I think these are few of the areas where I think one can focus. Then there is a very good opportunity in the construction chemical space. Thank you.
Thank you, Rajive ji. I come to the second part of it, and this is addressed to Amol, Anand, Patil. Industry is moving towards supplementary cementitious materials like fly ash, GGBS, and alkali activated motors, and the impact of these materials on reducing carbon dioxide emissions and enhancing sustainability, which are the prime focus areas for builders. So your thoughts on this, sir?
Yeah, hello. Thank you, Pravin, giving me the opportunity. Guys, I'm not basically from the chemical background. I'm from the civil engineering. Okay. First of all, is really this all the supplementary cementitious material we are targeting for the reduction of the carbon footprints in India? So answer is no. Our first primary objective for the using for the supplementary cementitious material in India, because it's available in abundant quantity in India. We have the thermal power plants. In India, we have more than 120 thermal power plants. And all the thermal power plant using as a coal as a fuel for generation of the powers. If you take it as the one example, a 2000 megawatt thermal power plant producing more than 13,000 metric ton of fly ash in a year. From that 30,000 metric ton, you can say the 11,000 metric ton is a fly ash and the 2,000 metric ton is a bottom ash. Now come to the GGBS. GGBS is coming from the steel factory. We have a lot of steel plants across the Maharashtra, Bhubaneswar, Jharkhand, even the north side also the steel industry plant. And that steel industry plant produces the GGBS. We have the reserve for all this. I've just shared the one incident which happened with me. When one of the prestigious tower in the South Mumbai, we are designing for the LEED certification of the green building certification for the projects. Even the Mumbai International Airports also. And the designer involved from the US. And that time he talked about the use of the supplementary cementitious material from the environmental sustainable point of use. And he is a showcase of the lot of case studies. But guys, the real fact is that we are using all this supplementary cementitious material past 20 years. Even this Bandra Worli ceiling bench, we have used the high volume fly ash mixes, which replace the 50% fly ash in the active clinker that is into the cements. The only part is that no, we are not good into the documentation. And we can prove that this is a sustainability approach and all those things. Because till that there is no carbon capture point and there is any documentation, we can encash that and I can make the feasibility for my projects. This is also the challenges. So we have the lot of opportunities. We are forced to move to use the supplementary cementitious material. Okay, now this is the facts. Now what is the positive effects from the other side of the entire thing? When you are using the supplementary cementitious, your structure is more durable in terms of the carbonation, in terms of the corrosion resistance, in terms of the waterproofing, because they give the dense, I can say the hydrated product into the concrete. So they reduce the permeability and that enhances the durability of the structures. So now is really challenge from the, I'm coming from the practice to the now the chemical point of view. Now, as a civil engineer, I'm only understanding means that thermal power plant using the coal as a fuel. But when I'm going into that coal and what is the properties are coming from the fly ash. So we are generally using lignite coal, subbituminous coal and anthracites. When the people are using different type of the source of the coal and they're burning in the thermal power plant, the fly ash generated from the respective coal, source of the coal, the properties is different. When that property is different and I'm using as a supplementary cementitious material in a concrete, I need different type of the chemicals to disperse that concrete. This is the challenge that we are realizing after the practical difficulties of, because different source of the coal having the different impact on the loss of ignition, unburned carbon particles into the fly ash, and that impact to the properties of the concrete. As a civil engineer, it's very difficult to me to recognize or identify all these challenges. But then when we're discussing with the chemical experts and then come into the modify all those dispersion technology into the admixtures. The similar way it is happened into the GGBS also. Because as an end user, I'm only understanding it's a GGBS, which is not the true. Because GGBS also, depending upon the sources, processes, which type of the boiler, what is the temperature, all those things impacting into the properties of the concrete. So we have to understand all those things, and then is most important to implement as a supplementary cementitious material into the concrete. Thank you.
Adding to that, sir, the importance of waterproofing solutions, and that's a big problem. And we do not see any building which doesn't have a waterproofing problem. So are you looking at some new chemicals which will help solve the problem, or is it because of the training of the plumbing guys which is creating the problem? So how do we solve this? Because it creates what we can say, it's what we can say, it helps, it is acting as an obstacle for durability. So how do you deal with this such situation?
Okay, let's understand the fact, guys. Our biggest problem is that we are not training the peoples. In our countries, if you go and ask for any plumber or ask for any mason or ask any carpenter, how he develop or himself as claim as I am a carpenter. He said that my father is a carpenter. If you go and ask his father, my grandfather is a carpenter. So we have the legacies. And we are carry forward all this legacy. Again, the problem is that then the lack of the scientific knowledge into that skills. So science and art is two different things. When I'm saying I'm learning from my father is art. And I'm learning from the school or I'm learning from any institute, that is a science. So today we have to now balance between the science and the art. Now, sir, just opening statement say that I want to fix the tile into the vertical walls. So maybe the mason say that chemical use kar lenge na. Because he saw somewhere into the advertisement, somewhere tell that this chemical is available. But that is a different application, different chemicals are available because every chemical's positioning is unique, depending upon the tile, size of the tile and everything. Who will go and educate this person? This is the questions. So even though sometimes now he is using the tile adhesive, but still the tiles are fail. So it is not the questions between the product or the, you can say the workmanship. It is a questions between the selection of the product at the right applications. Because science is missing, not the skills is missing, or not the art is missing. This is happening onto the waterproofing also. We always thought that I have to do the good waterproofing, but before that, do the good concrete first. You should have the good skeleton, and then you can wear the very good clothes. Cloth cannot be the last options. This is the additional protection for any structures. So do the concreting good first, and then we have to design the waterproofing as a defense mechanism, considering the life of the structures. And there is a different chemistries available. Now I just discussed with one of the person, he said that what is the, right now people are using polyurea, polyurethane into the waterproofing. Yeah, yes, it is using, but it is all are the jargons. There is a different derivative, different chemistry. There is a hybrid polyurea, hybrid polyurethane. And we have to understand the application. We have to understand the rigidity. Because now this come as the people are easily say that it's very rigid, it's very elastic. Is having the membrane, having the polyurea, is having the tensile strength more than the 12 MPa, 13 MPa. And people are fascinating about this, all the figures. This is not actually required, if you ask me as a civil engineer. Because the way we are using the concrete, which having the tensile strength not more than 4 MPa, then why should I need the membrane or polyethylene which having the tensile strength more than 10 MPa or 12 MPa? Because anything is happen, first my concrete will fail because of that tensile strength. Forget about your waterproofing systems. So selection of the system is most important. And then the chemistry part come into the picture. First understand what need for that structures and then establish the solutions for them. Thank you.
Thank you, Amolji. Maheshji, your views on this, how it needs to be tackled?
Yeah, good evening everyone. I'm sure since morning everyone is gaining knowledge about chemicals. But construction chemical and waterproofing chemicals, if adding to it, it's a very simple thing to listen. But waterproofing, as per me, is a preventive measure and not a curative matter. Whereas fixing these leakages and seepages are a curative in nature. When you talk of waterproofing industry, then everything is one for everyone. Both things are one for everyone. And about this waterproofing industry, it's almost about 10,000 crore, and this is not a very comprehensive figure, because we all gentlemen, either we all cannot estimate how many buildings will be leaking in this monsoon. So waterproofing actually is a quick fix. It's an investment from your side for your peace of mind. So when you are actually planning or proactively planning for waterproofing your space, you are actually not only saving the structures from, potential water leakages, but also, I can say also saving yourself from tons of stress and money as well. So it's all about staying ahead of the game, sir. And adding to that, waterproofing is done by membranes, by coatings, but many a times, however, many a times we have seen many industrial, many commercial, many residential properties, seeing that leakages again in every monsoon. Moreover, I feel the reason, not I feel, actually the reasons are, it's sometimes failure of system, I can say. Sometimes, damaging the layer of waterproofing. So whenever, sir, we talk of waterproofing, it's like the selection of waterproofing. The problems, originally, the problems of all this waterproofing can be, effectively addressed. Effectively addressed by the proper diagnosis and analysis of the issue, of the source of leakage. Majorly, the source of leakage is an important point where, every waterproofer should be look on. The suitable product, like sir said, suitable product, suitable quality material is very important. Skilled and trained laborers, workers are very much important. They play a very, very important role in waterproofing. And I would add here that sometimes we have observed, we have to be careful while we select these multi-product applications, because when we go with these multi-product systems, comprehensiveness of that is not as compatible, because sometimes, these materials are like, I can say, based on chemistry, are very crucial. So this selection of chemical has to be very precise. That is where we have people who are specifying the material for proper application. So selection of product is definitely very, very important, and skilled laborers. So concluding this, we like sir said, I am sure they are also doing the same thing, creating the awareness, and we have our own set of authorized applicators who are trained. So we should not get the applicator straight from the Naka. Like sir said, for tile adhesive, same thing is applicable for waterproofing also. There are masons available at Naka. Sir, lao, मैं आपको ये polymer के साथ में cement मिलाकर लगा दूंगा. Waterproofing is done. So that's not the case actually. So we should be aware, we should be cautious while selecting the product. That's what my say is, sir.
Rahulji, your views, is it because of the L1 part that we look for L1 tender?
मेरे लिए तो प्रवीण जी waterproofing is like that night Shyamalan का horror movie, right? So whenever you have a waterproofing issue, there is that booth which goes from one place to another, but the problem is booth does not run away. So most of the houses which are wet, you always try to figure out what is the problem. You fix one and then suddenly you realize it's actually come at the other part of the wall. So I think I completely agree with Amol and also with what Mahesh ji said. First of all, do first thing first right, which is do a proper concreting work. But let's be honest, I think the world is not going to change around us. We will still have Naka masons which will come for 700, 800 rupees and do our walls. And therefore we have a problem of leakage. And how do we fix the leakage problem is why the construction chemicals industry is probably going to survive. So therefore, I would not want to wish that people should only buy or hire the masons from Naka, but till the time it continues, construction chemicals industry is going to thrive. But I think that is one part of a very low-end statement. The large part of the problem, if you see across the world, and particularly in India, right? I mean, if you see the diverse climatic conditions that we undergo, right? We have heavy monsoons that you see here now, and then go to Nagpur or even Bombay nowadays, 42 degrees, 43 degrees. So the amount of tension that we are actually creating on our structures, I think the necessity for having an effective waterproofing is going to be very, very important. So therefore, I believe that construction chemicals or waterproofing chemicals should not be looked at only as a solution कि पानी नहीं आए. I think it should be largely more about figuring out how do I look at aesthetic elements of my structures, whether it is Delhi, Bombay, exteriorly, right? There's no algae, buildings are actually looking cleaner, and when you go outside India, you see that, right? I mean, you don't have those fungus buildings anywhere. in the world. And with due respect, I think India is changing a lot from that perspective. But traditionally, and even today, we continue to rely on these barrier systems, coatings. But
The light is not there. Now it's come. Hello? Yeah, you can speak now.
So I think world has already moved from barrier system technologies, and it has actually moved to a lot of very interesting chemistry technologies. And if I can just name a few, I mean, you look at the water repellent systems, right? I mean, what are these systems? These are specialized chemical molecules which are designed to create a hydrophobic effect on the surface level of any of the concretes, right? And therefore, what it does is it does not allow water to come in, and it is very effective, by the way. Even in torrential weathers like Middle East, it works. But importantly, it does not allow the water vapor to come out, right? I mean, you fix one part of the problem with many solutions. You may have some very nice paint which also does not allow water to come in. But the challenge is that your vapor should not come out. The moment your vapor comes out, you have different kind of problems. The second solution that is nowadays, and we are also working as a company on that, not that I'm advertising for this solution, is nanocolloidal silica. There are many options available. And what does nanocolloidal silica does? It has got three purposes. One is concrete densification. It works very, very well on concrete densification purposes. It also has got properties wherein it creates a layer because nano particles are very, very small, and they tend to find their way out into the pores as well as porous substrates on the concrete, and they'll fix it forever. So what you have typically is the longevity of that structure. This is predominantly also used nowadays in Europe, because generally in Europe, houses are under snow for about 6 months, and imagine the amount of water which can penetrate inside, right? And you don't see the problem in Europe or even in US with structures being under snow for 6 months, and then when it is summer, suddenly people don't start painting the house, because they've already looked at it in advance, and they therefore know how to fix it using right technologies. And then we talk about self-curing concrete now. Okay, now I'm talking a little bit about future, but I think that's also a very interesting technology which is being built. I mean, typically if you have a structure which gets cracked for whatever reasons, then you have a polymer which actually has an ability to understand, okay, now I have a crack, therefore I need to fill it myself. And this is where the world will move eventually forward. We talked about polyurea a lot, and this is very close to my heart because I worked quite a bit on that polyurea technology, and I personally believe that in India we are still far away from actually implementing these systems, because the large part of the problem is that most of the times cost takes precedence over everything else, and therefore sometimes we tend to forget that maybe the supplied cost of a product today is very high, but from a longevity maintenance perspective, somebody is warranting to me that for 20 years your roof is not going to leak, compared to using an epoxy or any other cementitious system, and I say that okay, every 2 years you have to repair it. What is cheaper, right? One is the pain, second is the cost, third is the labor which has to do. I mean, I'm not propagating any of the systems, but all I'm trying to say is we need to look into future and figure out what, and also have a very clear eye view of what is going around us. And that's my request to the industry. Be open, try to innovate, don't look at only the cost, and this has to stem from India. You look at the kind of variety we have, kind of torture that our structures are going through because of extreme climatic condition. Therefore, the innovation to this problem and solution has to stem from India, not only for India, but for the world. Thank you.
Thank you, Rahulji. The next is on innovations in fast-setting motors utilizing accelerators, CSH-based. What are the solutions for quick and efficient repair of potholes and other concrete road issues? And here I would request Amol, Anand, Patil. So what we will try to do is, in the next 4 questions, I would request you to give short answers.
Yeah.
So that we can take some questions from the audience. I see a full house till late in the evening, so let us answer a few of their queries, because this topic is also related to them also. because every day they have to live in a house, every day they have to work in an office, and the problems are pertinent. So your quick answer, sir, and then
Okay, so repairing of the potholes in the concrete, I know that this is now the very burning issues and we are facing everyone's that. So there is also the technologies available that called as a 4x4 concept. In a 4 hours, you can get the 4 PSI tensile strength of the concrete. So that is one of the technology. Then rapid hardening accelerator is also available, which can gain the high early strength within the hours also. If you are talking about the precast concrete, that predominantly technology is using. Third is solution is available as a pre-pack mortars also. Which is available. You just mix into the water and just patch up the concrete work. But here is also most important problems, no, the applications. And the third most important one is the bonding of the existing surface with the new surface. So that adhesive is also the playing the major role, and the application is a playing role. So in that, no, specification should be the very much intact for the application before and the selection of the products.
Rajive ji, the question to you is, everywhere we are talking about reducing carbon footprint, better performance, sustainable products, meeting environmental concerns, green construction, all these are buzzwords. So as a chemical company owner, how do you deal with these and how are you going to achieve these parameters for, say, construction chemical products?
So
Short answers, sir.
So I think first of all, very important is the raw material selection. So if we use bio-based or renewable or recycled material, so then automatically it becomes more sustainable. Even not only sustainable from the point of saying sustainable, but I think cost perspective also, because I've seen couple of global companies already applying these strategies. And in the end, initially we feel it may add cost, but if you try to apply these bio-based, and even in the manufacturing, you know, if we consume less energy, if you use energy efficient processes, that also would help to make it sustainable and reduce the cost. So I think sustainable is not just a buzzword, but I would put it rather, if we look from the whole value chain, even in packaging, if we use, instead of now plastic as it is globally is becoming more and more solving the problem, if we use ISO tanks, you know, for transport. I think I was just talking now in India also, domestic transport ISO tanks are being used by a lot of people. So if we just think a little bit out of the box, normally, okay, packing means plastic, but probably if it's a more volume, one can use even in packaging. So I think if we try to do a circular economy, wherein we start from the raw material to the manufacturing, to the process, generating zero effluent, and I think then we'll be solving a lot of problems under single roof. And I think it's possible. Obviously, it will take some time to initially initiate anything new, but I think eventually over a period of time it will give a lot of cost savings as well, because you are not damaging the environment also. And nowadays even there is EcoVadis certification, which looks into environmental norms, sustainability. So which is again part of your global, you know, when you want to work with global companies, I think these are very important parameters. So I think if we work together on these life cycle economy, then I think we can solve all these problems together. Thank you.
Mahesh ji, there are now technologies like prefabricated housing. So will this help in the long run to standardize material plus provide a good construction material to the houses or the offices? That's one part. And the second part with respect to usage of technology. How do you see the usage of technology in this particular sector?
Yep. Fabricated things, yes sir, of course, not a right time for India to work on, because you know where we have seen these developments happening, they are also facing much more problems related to this waterproofing and other issues. But yes, coming to technology, that's an interesting part, because if we talk of technology, the major thing what I have observed is building formworks, all formworks what we see. So there are wood formworks, there are plywood formworks, bamboo plywood formworks, steel formworks, plastic, and also our aluminum alloy shutterings. So after the introduction of these shutterings, the benefit of these shutters are, they are high turnover, they are easy to install, fast construction is possible with less plastering. So benefit is there. But, and also if we talk of our industry, so our industry has accepted, construction industry has accepted this change. It's changing like anything, and major construction sites are using this aluminum foam works. So what happens with this, the moment there is a technology, the new technology here, so a new challenges are thrown to the construction chemical manufacturer, and we are there to give the apt solution. So, it starts from selection of your shuttering oils. Previously, people used to use used engine oils. Now, we are using mold release agents, well-formulated mold release agents. So, that's how, after that, because of these things, admixtures came into the role. PC admixture came into role, because when you are using this technology, aluminum formwork technology, so you need a concrete to flow, have a great flow in the concrete, because the concrete is so dense. So that is where PC admixture came into the role. After that, you need bonding agents. So technology is giving so much to explore. Bonding agents came into the picture, because after this formwork, use of this aluminum shutterings, the surface, the concrete surfaces are so smooth. You need to, of course, decorate them, and for that you need some bonding agents. So that's how, sir, my say on technology. Yes, technologies will come. Definitely we will be needing these technologies, new technologies, but they will definitely give us a bigger market. So construction chemical market is definitely growing because of these new technologies.
So I will come back to you, sir. One last point from Rahul ji on implementation challenges. If you can answer short, and then we can take one or two questions from the audience.
So I think on implementation challenges, it's very simple. There's a significant gap on consumer awareness, both from an, sorry to say, institutional as well as individual levels. And I'll just give you an example. A few years back, there was a very important structure. I won't name it. It was an iconic structure of our country. And then there were teams which reached out and said, yeah, you know what, this structure is of a great importance, and therefore we have to do it differently, right? I mean, because it's not only waterproofing, it's a structural sensitivity, it is ballast mitigation and everything else. And at the end of the day, we still ended up using a 100-year-old system, which is unfortunate, right? And the result is, I still know that structure has already started leaking. But then the point is, somebody has to therefore drive it from the front, which largely has to be awareness campaign. And if you look at the paint companies, I mean, I've worked for one for a very long time. They started doing this massive campaign around training their painters, mainly for exterior paint, right? And that is the reason why when they paint those buildings, they give you 20-year warranty, because they're extremely careful about what needs to apply, how much quantity needs to apply, and what material needs to go in which climatic conditions, right? And in construction chemical, it's not that, but it's many other attributes that the learned panelists already explained about, and therefore getting that training, I think, is very important. The potential of this market is humongous. It is going to multiply every year from here on for next 20 years at least. And therefore, somebody has to take right steps to ensure that this growth is leveraged. Thank you.
So we are through. We have 1 minute 45 seconds. Let me take one question.
Sir, it is this industry is the, especially construction is a growing, whatever sir is telling, 100% correct. But what sir is telling, the material is most important. When the humankind, they are getting the stress, due to the stress we are getting the disorders and diseases. Like due to these advertisements, especially for the construction materials. And due to this, we are giving the stress, whatever the sir has told Amol, is giving the stress to the construction. So there is, whatever we are giving, how much of stress we are giving to in the construction field. So they are getting leaking and all these things. So for the common man, it is useful for these technologies. For the common man, rural sector, 60% of the people living in the rural sectors. So I want to elaborate any one of the speaker in this thing.
Okay. Any other
So
question?
what I want to say, giving the stress to the construction.
Yeah.
Thank you, Pravin. Unlike you from Delhi, from Mumbai, we are all facing a problem of potholes. And I think it's one of the burning thing which we are, I think, suffering every day. I would like to know, Amol, I really am happy and impressed by the way that you presented and have been very clear about it. What is the thing that Mumbai, BMC, is not able to rectify for so many people, the day-to-day commute or anything? Can you share something? What exactly is lacking?
Okay, at the same time, your people are telling the bio. Bio is the living things. How your construction field is the bio and the living things are applying, that also you will elaborate.
I see. Let me take all the questions and then we will give the, yeah, there is one now. I will take another 2 questions.
Yes. My question is, in foreign countries, they have something called concrete protection. So they have some products because due to the presence of chloride, the concrete, they disintegrate. There are chances. So for especially for regions like Mumbai, where it comes from the sand, So, but in India, we do not have any regulation or any kind of building code for concrete protection. Is there a chance that this kind of regulation will come? Because with so much of investment in infrastructure, if it's not durable, if we have to again do repair work, because we saw some pictures that there is a crack developed in Atal Setu, there was a, so my question is whether the government is looking at bringing some regulation or whether industry is proactive in, recommending any regulation or something.
So, sir, my question is about the next rebars is coming from the fiber reinforced. So, is there any chemical required to bond the concrete with the FRP rebars? So, and is it available right now or not for the FRP rebars construction?
Tej, you have a question, I believe. So, short answers for the 4 questions that have been asked. One is on pothole, other is on building regulation, one is on FRP, and third was talking about good quality houses, how it can be done. So, short answers you can take up according to your interest area and reply. Maybe सबको एक ही आदमी को नहीं answer.
So, sir, when it comes to durability thing, when we talk of government taking initiatives, yes, of course, it's coming the other way around, sir. It's like if we talk of commercial and these residential properties, here government initiative is RERA coming into the picture. So it's not like you have to use this waterproofing chemicals or you have to use this or you have to construct like this. You have to give the warranty. You are the owner of this property for 5 more years after giving the possession. So that's how, government has taken some initiative, I can say. But yes, sir, there are things improving. Mindset of builders and developers are also getting changed because they also do not want that headache to carry on with their head every day that my property is leaking or these things are happening. And covering the concrete surfaces, yes, there are many coatings available now with many companies. Of course, when we talk of our company, we have a coating like you can coat with a polyurethane coating on it. We have to cover that coating also. To keep that coating safeguard, we have magic screed. You can screed that. So, your structure won't leakage.
What is today's the concrete, or I can say that the construction industry is facing the problems. Huh? We are coming with a lot of new innovative product, new innovative technology, but the back end hour is very poor. We are not upgrading our documentations, codal requirements. If you to go to the any government authority and you say that I want to implement this technology, this material, they say this material is approval in Indian standards. No. We are using Indian standards in 1978 or 1980s. This is the problem. I will give the one example. When I was involved in one of the atomic power plant in Kaiga, and we have to implement the cell compacting concrete technology, you need require the vibration to compact the concretes. And that time, that atomic power people is not taking the responsibility because this technology is not documented or the proven into the Indian codal provisions. But good part is that that time we have the collaboration with the Russian government for the atomic energy. And that expert take the responsibility on behalf of the Indian government. Okay, we are taking the responsibility. And that technology first time India used into the reactor building. Now you understand what is the importance of the reactor building. So the problem is that now if I am into the government system now, I don't want to carry the responsibility on my shoulder. What is into the BOQ, what is into the tender document, what is into the codal provisional. We have so many systems. That is the biggest gap, or I can say the industry facing the challenges. So I'm expecting that let the expert people come into the panels boards. If you go to all the Indian standard boards and all this, people are almost from the 20 or 30 years old, people are sitting in there. I'm not blaming that, but they are not ready to accept because जब तक मैं हूँ तब तक कुछ नहीं होना चाहिए. मैं आराम से pension मिलना चाहिए मुझे. No, so that's now I feel the proud because of only that Nitin Gadkari sir. He's taking a lot of initiative on the construction industry and he brings the change. Now coming to your pothole system, there is a lot of system is available only that, but the acceptance and people are looking the short-term solution immediately. They are not looking at the recurring cost or maintenance cost I am going to spend altogether. Yeah, because you said that no, earlier if you take out any construction project or the bridges, we take more than 5 years or 6 years. Now the construction period come down to the months. We have to construct this flyover for the 12 months, including the monsoons. When I'm saying that I want to construct within the 1 year or 1.5 years, I need that entirely new technology into the constructions. We don't want only now the civil engineering solution for the construction. We need management solution also.
And also chemical solution.
Exactly. Thank you.
Connected workers expedite your digital.
So I think on potholes and overall, I can give you only two analogies. I'll keep it very short, right? Travel from Baroda to Ahmedabad. Do you see potholes on the highway? Right? You won't, right? I've traveled many times. Go to some of the buildings in Bombay. Do you see algae? Do you see water leaking? And the next building, it is leaking. Why is it happening? I think it's all stemming from the sense of, I want to save pennies. And when you want to save pennies, you will have problems. That's it.
And also we have to come out from the L1 tender part. So it's not, and the corruption. Let us be upfront.
Yeah,
Because we are preparing the roads for a particular load and the frequency of the trucks. They are not able to keep
Pravinji, I have something to add here because like sir said, when we go to BMCs and many departments when we go and changing their SSR and this BOQs are not that simple. But now systems are changing, sir. I'm telling that. Like sir said, there are people, old people sitting there. I'm fine with that. Okay. But now they are also understanding that they are answerable. So since they are answerable, I remember it takes some time. We have changed something in SSR of PWD. It took us almost 6 to 8 months to change that. But after that, now the system has been introduced. So this is the responsibility of our industries like us who have to, go and get those things get changed there. So more giants can do that more in a better way. But yes, we are trying in a simple way and I am sure that things will change, sir, here.
I would say, Pravin, just... सस्ता एक बार रोए महंगा बार बार रोए अरे सॉरी महंगा एक बार रोए सस्ता बार बार रोए
सर लेकिन उसमें होता है ना आपके घर पे भी वाटर प्रूफिंग होगा तो आप पहले उससे नेगोशिएट करोगे कि और कितना कम करोगे वो बेचारा बोल रहा है सर मेरे पास सीमेंट वाला नहीं मेरे पास पीयू भी है
You know what he said, L1, right? L1 means maximum corruption.